Hello, and welcome to Spotlight on Education. I'm Dr. Jamie Savedoff, the Superintendent of Schools in East Brunswick, and your host for this program. This is an interesting program because we're going to do it in two segments and introduce some of the personnel in the school district that normally are not visible to the community. Last year during the budget process, a number of people asked me about the different positions that we have in the school district, and particularly asked me what do assistant principals do, or what do content subject matter supervisors and department chair people do. And I thought that was an interesting question because I take it for granted as superintendent of school, as an educator, that everybody knows what people do in a school system. So we've put together a program today to introduce you to some of our assistant principals, our department chairs, and supervisors so that you can find out a little bit more about the important role that these people play in our school system. First of all, I'd like to introduce Ms. Roseanna Moran, who is an assistant principal at East Brunswick High School, and Dr. Frank LoPresti, who is an assistant principal at Churchill Junior High School. And let me start off by asking you your reaction to the questions that people ask about the number of administrators that we have and assistant principals that we have in our school district. And as professional educators, how would you respond to that? Why do you think we need these positions, and how do you see the importance of this role?
Well, my response is that we really need to do more to inform the community of what we as administrators do. And I think a program like today is going to go a long way to answering a lot of the questions that the community has about assistant principals. Specifically, our responsibilities have increased tremendously over the number of years. Just in the last 5 years that I've been an assistant principal at Churchill, the student class size has increased almost 200 students. And proportionately, the staff has also gone up in all of the schools. And as you know, we're in the middle of construction, so our facility has gone up. Each year, the state of New Jersey and the district provides and gives us as administrators more responsibilities. And with all that in mind, over the last 28 years that I've been an administrator in this district, we have only gained one assistant principal.
Roseanne?
Well, I believe we need assistant principals because the principal needs to be responsible for the direction that the school is taking, has to have a vision for the school, to be an instructional leader. The assistant principals can take care of the day-to-day running of the school, the discipline, all of those things to make it possible for the principal to do that.
Well, let's start with the high school. At the high school, we have 3 assistant principals. We have our principal is Mr. Robert Murphy, and then Dr. Gannon and Mr. Les Zukix. How do you share the responsibilities among the principal and the 3 assistant principals?
In terms of students, each assistant principal is responsible for 1 grade level, which means each of us has the discipline and any special needs that are required for approximately 700 students. And if there's an incident with a student, we generally handle the students within our grade level. Although if there's an incident with some crossover, we'll handle other students as well and then inform that assistant principal of the appropriate grade level what we have done. In terms of staff, we have it divided by subject. Each of us is responsible for sharing the observation and evaluation of tenured staff of 3 or 4 departments with the department chair and the supervisor. Mr. Murphy takes also a subject area and the guidance department, and he evaluates every non-tenured teacher within the building. All of us share cafeteria duty, and all of us are out in the hallways at passing time.
About how many teachers are you responsible for supervising?
Probably about 40. We rotate the departments so that the teachers that I see in this department this year, I'll see a different group of teachers next year. And so I get through.
Math, English, science, social studies. And what are some of the specific duties that Dr. Gannon and Mr. Zukix take on? Is there anything in addition to what you just mentioned?
Yes, each of us has different things that we do.
Talk about yours and theirs.
Okay, I coordinate the exam schedules and the makeups for the students. I coordinate back-to-school night and parent-teacher conferences. I supervise the in-school suspension room and the attendance office. I take care of the daily staff attendance as well as substitutes in the building. I am the 504 coordinator, and I sit on and run the attendance appeals boards for the students, And of course, the lost and found is in my office.
And what about Dr. Gannon and Mr. Zukix?
Dr. Gannon is responsible for the coordination, location, and rehearsal of the graduation every year. He is responsible for student-teacher placement, for the printing and updating of our handbook. He does all the local, state, federal reports, as well as the discipline and attendance report for the district. He takes care of our fire drills twice a month. He's responsible for parking and traffic, which means he's also a liaison with the police department for us. He supervises our after-school detention, our Saturday detention. He takes care of any problems staff have with voicemail. He's worked on our crisis management plan, and he does the classroom organization management program with the teachers in the district.
And Mr. Zukix, I think he has some specific responsibilities,
I think he
particularly
has one or two.
scheduling and
Yes.
those kinds of things?
He does anything, any activities within the building. He's responsible for scheduling them, whether it's during the school day or after the school day. He's responsible for student activities, which would encompass clubs, fundraising, field trips, that type of thing. He does the master schedule, which means he's responsible for teachers' duty periods, their schedules, individual student schedules. He implements the SASE database, which takes care of our attendance, grading, course history, transcripts. He does the student attendance letters, and he's responsible for the senior awards night every year. He organizes that and takes care of any audiovisual needs teachers have.
It's one thing to talk about the job description of an assistant principal, and I was an assistant principal for a couple of years. But one of the things that people don't realize is that you can have one event happen in the course of a day. And maybe it's a student discipline issue or an emergency or a crisis with a parent or a child. And that may occupy 3, 4, 5 hours, maybe even the whole day, and hours during the week of follow-up. So
Yes, it does.
it's a very dynamic kind of a position. Particularly, you've got 2,050 students in your building, and you've got close to 1,400 and
Close to
30 or-
between 15 and 1,600 now.
students. So
Students.
it's a very dynamic and ever-changing job. You never know what's going to happen when you walk into that building on any given day. You mentioned that each of the assistant principals has a grade level, so you're the 10th grade administrator this year. Do you move with your students? Will you follow them through the 11th and 12th grade, or will you stay as a 10th grade?
No, I'll move with them. So I'll be 10th grade this year. I'll move with them to 11th grade and 12th grade. In that way, you get to know the students, you know any special situations that arise, and you can build a better relationship with the students as they go through high school.
Oh, excellent. At Churchill Junior High School, we have 2 assistant principals, yourself, and we have Ms. Della Powell, who's in our 2nd year with us. Just like the high school, what are some of the duties of the assistant principals, and how do you coordinate your responsibilities with the principal, Mr. Mark Suter?
Okay. Well, really the assistant principals at the junior high are quite similar in the responsibilities that we have. I think the major responsibilities revolve around staff evaluation, discipline, and grade level programs, whether they be assemblies or field trips or whatever. And then anything that's assigned to us in a given year, we would double up on that. Mrs. Powell and I have a little bit different in that we do have grade levels, but we do not follow our students from 8th grade to 9th grade. I'm assigned to the Smith Annex, and that's where all of our 8th graders have their major subjects, their English, their history, their math, and their science. So I stay there with the 8th graders. Now, once our construction is completed, we're going to sit down and really review that whole concept of whether we're going to continue to revolve with the students.
Can you speak a little more specifically about some of the duties that you handle and some of the duties that Ms. Powell handles?
Sure. Again, it's quite similar to the high school and the middle school, but I thought it might be easier to just go through the day. I mean, my position is a little bit unique to most assistant principals because I'm stationed at Smith Annex, and so I'm really responsible for the day-to-day working of that school. So my day starts by checking the school, I mean, with the construction going on, and make sure that the rooms and facility is ready for our staff and our students. Then I come back to my office and check, we talk about technology, the email and voicemail messages that I'll have. Sometimes I have a parent waiting for me. After that, it really depends upon the agenda and what comes up. You had mentioned discipline. It's not unusual for a case to involve 3-4 hours, sometimes days, to investigate it properly, and that's what we really want to do. But it can involve student service council, it can be core teams. It really depends upon the day. The other thing is that we all have, and I think at all levels, the joyous task of lunch duty and bus duty, which kind of breaks up our day. You also mentioned staff evaluation. Last year I did in excess of 50 staff evaluations. I'm in charge of the yearbook, school pictures, teacher assignments, whether it be for duties or classroom assignments. So it's really a very busy day, but that's what we like about it. I think that, as you were once an assistant principal, the time goes very quickly, and we are busy from the time we get in till the time we leave. Those evaluations that we do during the day, they are usually completed at night or on the weekend. We have no time during the day to really work on that kind of paperwork.
Because you're trying to be, obviously, also, you can't put a parent on hold, and say, I'll get back to you in a week, or a child who is in need, or a teacher who has a problem or an issue. I mean, it's a high, fast response time. I think the student care and control piece is so important. That if we only had a parent asked me last year, well, why can't Mr. Murphy just run the high school alone? And I began to explain to her that with 2,050 children and 170 staff members in the building, one human being could not possibly respond to all of the needs. And it's a safety issue and a concern that we have to try to make sure that we're responsive to parents, responsive to students, and providing the best environment. And I know I've seen Mr. Murphy out directing traffic at 6:45 in the morning, and people just roll their sleeves up and do whatever needs to be done. How are these assignments made? Do you talk as a team about who has certain interests or strengths that you bring to the different supervisory aspects? Or?
I think that happens as new situations arise, but many of us have come in mid-year when we started in this position. And so it's been more of a case of just taking over what our predecessor did, which in some ways I think is a good idea. In a lot of ways it's a good idea, because then there's some continuity within the building. The people who are working with you, whether it's your secretary or whoever, knows what is expected from that office. The teachers then know this always gets handled through this office. So it does provide some continuity.
Yeah, I was just, similar again. We have had really a lot of turnover at the assistant principal position. And when you come in, when a new member comes in at mid-year, it would really be kind of silly to not only disrupt the new person coming in, but also the person that has been there. So we usually hold on to those responsibilities from year to year. And over the last 5 years that I've been here, I've been here in that position for 5 years, but we had Mr. Menajewski, then Mr. Decker, and now Mrs. Powell. So our hope is, though, that once our construction is completed next year, that we're going to sit down and really look at those responsibilities between the three of us and try and divide them up to our strengths and our interests.
Any special projects that you're working on? Anything in particular that's come up this year that you'll be working on?
Well,
Roseanna?
I just took over the being the 504 coordinator, so that's something that I'll be working on.
Explain what 504 is, because many people
Any
know that as
students-
a detergent, but maybe not as a educational term.
I think the simplest example is a student who, for some reason, can't get to class on time, might have an accommodation that they were allowed to be 2 minutes late. A student with a broken leg. That wouldn't require a 504, but that's a very simple explanation of the types of things we do. Not special education, but just some minor accommodation. And I just took over this year with coordinating that with the student assistance counselors. So that's something that I'll be learning and working on. And one of the things that I would definitely like to do this year is to learn what the other vice principals at the high school are doing. And take a look at the master schedule and take a look at what Dr. Gannon is doing with the reports.
Yes,
Frank?
well, I think the biggest thing is the renovation at Smith at this point in time. It's not unusual for an hour, sometimes 2 hours a day, for me to be involved in certain things about whiteboards or heat or whatever, but the kids have been wonderful. I couldn't ask. They are so flexible, and they get through these things far better than adults. But the staff has also been so understanding and supportive. So that has been really the positive part of the renovation. The other part is that when I look at projects, I think they revolve in our school about the school environment. There's so many issues that are out there today that we're getting from our society and our community, and it comes into our school. And the school is held responsible. You know, we take up a lot of those responsibilities, whether it be dealing with diversity and understanding diversity and bullying and sexual harassment, or the use of the internet and how we have to deal with the security of that. So my projects will revolve around that, and we look into assemblies or other programs where we can help our students and our parents. We want the best. We want our kids to perform up to their greatest ability. That's what our goal is.
Well, I thank you for sharing that with us, and I'll share one piece of information with you and with the community. Each year the state of New Jersey collects information for the school report card, and I went and took a look again at our school report card figures. And it's very interesting when we talk about the number of administrators that we have within the school district. When we talk about building administrators, the state average at the elementary school is 164 students per every building administrator at the elementary level. In our district, we range from 343 to 545 to 1 on the ratio, so significantly above. And at the secondary level, the state average is 185 students per building administrator. And in our 3 secondary schools, we average 443 to 1. So when people ask us about, do we have too many administrators, I always go to the state report card data and talk about the fact I'm concerned that we're not keeping up with the number of students and faculty as we increase. And I want to thank you and your colleagues, because I know you have to work longer hours and harder to keep up with the number of students that have come in, and you do just such a great job along with the other assistant principals in the district. So thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd now like to welcome Mrs. Carlotta Miller, our Supervisor for Language Arts and Primary Education, and Mrs. Cathy Reilly, our Department Chair of English. Let me start off by asking you, Carlotta, in general, what do supervisors do? And then we'll talk about what department chairs do.
Okay. Supervisors are responsible for the articulation and implementation of the curriculum. This requires continuous evaluation of programs and teachers. Supervisors must ensure, first of all, that teachers are teaching the appropriate content, but at the same time, they have to make sure that students, as they progress through the grades, kindergarten through 12th grade, that they are meeting all of the core content standards as well.
Cathy?
Well, in the most general terms, a department chairperson assists the supervisor in developing the curriculum and also making sure that the curriculum is being followed, and really to provide the teachers with the tools to bring the most effective instruction they can to the students. And that might mean getting physical materials like textbooks, easel pads, and so forth, but it also means providing feedback and training for the teachers.
Let's talk specifically a day in the life of department chair for English. What are you responsible for?
Well, I oversee 31 teachers who have about 3,500 students. I evaluate lesson plans. I run department meetings. I run new teacher meetings. We have a lot of new teachers in our department. Almost half the department is new, so there's a lot of support and training that goes on there. Another big part of my job is communication. I'm often the first point of contact for parents, for teachers, for principals, for the supervisor, sometimes for students, for guidance. I serve often as a liaison. So I spend a lot of my time doing that, and also just overseeing programs, our summer reading program, our writing program. We have a new writing program that we're really excited about, and that's involved a lot of training and supervision. We have a new textbook this year, so we had to rewrite curriculum and align our curriculum with the textbook. And even things that you might not think are a big deal, like midterm exams and final exams. When you're a district as big as ours, everything is a big job. And so we have about 50 versions of the exam in grades 8 through 12. And so just revising and editing exams and things like that, I mean, it's a lot of work.
And you work closely with the building principals, both of you, and our supervisors. It's in conjunction, although they're primarily concerned with the operation of their buildings. They are instructional, have instructional involvement as well, but you're doing the real nitty-gritty and meat of it. Carlotta, a day in the life of our supervisors, what are they up to?
Well, it's very important for supervisors, first of all, to be knowledgeable in their content areas, to be knowledgeable about what's happening in East Brunswick, to be able to evaluate test scores. You know, we have our state tests, the ESPA, the GEPA, the HESPA, to be able to evaluate those and see how our program is working. What are the strengths, what are the weaknesses? Also to be knowledgeable about what's happening outside of East Brunswick, to know what's happening across the state in terms of language arts literacy, to know what the cutting edge research is in the area of language arts literacy, and to be able to provide teachers with that information. So to be knowledgeable and then to be able to share that knowledge with teachers. We do that in a number of ways. Cathy and I work very closely together to have workshops for teachers, for experienced teachers as well as new teachers. Also, we do this through the observation process and the evaluation process. Last year I observed probably 80 teachers, and this year I will probably observe about 80 more. And it's a three-part process. It starts with the pre-observation, where you meet with the teacher and you ask him or her, you know, what are your objectives for today? What do you hope to accomplish? And tell us a little bit about your class. You know, do you have any class management programs in place? It helps the teacher be at ease, but it also helps the supervisor to know, you know, what's going to happen. Then there's the actual evaluation process where you go into the classroom. In my case, most of my teachers teach a double period, so it means a little over an hour in the classroom collecting data and recording that information. Then after that, you write the observation. Our instructional model has 21 indicators, and you have to evaluate the teacher on those 21 indicators and write it exactly like that. And that takes, you know, a considerable amount of time. Then we go back and we meet with the teachers and we have a post-observation conference. And this is really a very important staff development piece because it's one-to-one instruction. You're giving the teacher feedback as to what you saw in the classroom, offering suggestions, sometimes confirming for teachers that what they're doing really is effective. So it takes a lot of time, and I think it's very worthwhile. So basically my job is to be knowledgeable and then to share that knowledge with teachers on a daily basis.
And to ensure that the curriculum is being implemented.
Oh, absolutely.
That we have
To write
consistency,
curriculum.
that regardless of what teacher at what grade level, the curriculum is implemented in math and science and social studies and English in the same manner, so that we have a consistently quality education. I kind of think of this as the R&D, the research and development aspect of a school district, that what you people are doing is bringing the research into the district and then helping to develop our staff as any corporation would do to keep us on the cutting edge of what's going on.
That's correct.
Since in the 1970s, we had about twice as many people doing this work, and then our enrollments dropped, and we cut by about 50%. We cut the staff. How has how have your jobs changed with less people and now more teachers and more students?
Right. When I first assumed this position 6 years ago, we had approximately 7,300 students in the district. Now we're close to 9,000. More students translates to more teachers. We've added teachers almost at every level, which translates to more concerned parents, more teachers to evaluate. Most of our teachers are new to teaching. You know, they come out of school, they have a lot of knowledge, but you have to train them in our model, our instructional model. Also, it means more programs, because many of the students who come to East Brunswick have to transition to our curriculum. And so we've made the Elementary Academy, which helps students to transition. We also have intensive programs in writing and in reading at the elementary level to help students get used to our curriculum. So.
Yeah.
And each of our supervisors now has multiple job responsibilities.
Absolutely.
So you do language arts in primary. Other people are doing multiple jobs. We used to have one supervisor for music, one supervisor for art, and we've now combined that into one.
Absolutely.
So people are doing multiple tasks. In closing, let me ask you, to sum up in 30 seconds or less, why do you think these positions are so important, and how do they contribute to making East Brunswick the quality school district that it is?
If I can answer that. I think the success of our school is a result of, great students, good families that care about education, excellent teachers, but also the DCs and supervisors are content specific, and they know what their subjects need, and they know how to identify the goals very specifically and very clearly, and how to achieve those goals. And I think that you need that in order to have a vision of where you want your department to go. And I think that's a big part of it.
Having leadership and vision, that's really what we do on a daily basis.
And keeping our teachers on the cutting edge of curriculum and instruction and implementation. Well, I want to thank you for joining us today. It's been very
You're welcome.
informative. I want to thank you, the community, for tuning in today. And I hope that this has given you a better understanding of some of the people in our school district and the importance of their positions and how they help to keep East Brunswick an outstanding school district. Thank you for watching.